And I'm live on the Psycho Bunny Death Cult and YouTube. Just me tonight, guys. Buddy and Monica, nowhere to be seen. I don't think they're going to be here tonight at all. Monica is homesick, and Buddy is at the hospital, apparently. Hey, Raven. How you doing, babe? It's just little old me tonight. Hope you guys are okay with that. I mean, I do most of the talking anyway, right? So it should be fine. I can talk to myself in perpetuity about a movie called The Furies. Raven, have you seen The Furies? It's streaming on Shutter right now. Pretty good show. Heavy concept. Well, more like a game show, really, but it's definitely worth watching. I'll get to that in a second. I got to start the old podcast here. Thank you for joining me. It's just me tonight again. I'm sure you've noticed that the other two are not here. So I'm going to do my best to fill the time solo and hopefully not bore you to tears, as I am apt to do on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. Raven, do you have Shutter? If not, you should probably look into that. If you're a horror fan, you could be a member of the Psycho Bunny Death Cult and not even be a horror fan. You could just be really into um, cult stuff, cult talk, cult, culty things. So there's happy cults out there too. I'm sure. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about anymore. Anyway, I'm going to do a podcast here. Check yourself out, The Furies. I'm going to walk you through it like I always do. It's a pretty good show. Do you like? Hey, Stevesy's in the house. What's up, Stevesy? No, I don't have Shutter. Raven, get with me offline, and I will make sure that you have Shutter very soon. Don't tell anybody else, though. I probably shouldn't be saying that on like a live Facebook thing because I'm sure I could get in some trouble, but hang out with me. There's happy cults out there too. That's what I'm saying, Heather, right? We only hear about the bad ones. Take the Girl Scouts of America, for example. They seem to be having a great time and making money. Hey, Monica's in the house. Funny, Monica's watching this right now. She's usually right here. And instead, she's choosing just to watch the show tonight. Whatever, Monica. I hope you feel better. Whatever's wrong with you, I don't know. All right, The Furies. This was Monica's pick, Furies. We're going to get into that here in a second. Let me loosen my tie a little bit. God damn. I feel like my neck has put on a substantial amount of weight. Is there like neck trimming exercises one could do? Because these shirts just aren't doing it anymore. And if I'm going to continue wearing neckties, then I don't know, maybe I need a longer one or something. Anyway, all right, enough about that. Let's get into The Furies. Raven, get with me later, and we will discuss Shutter and all things Shutterific. Am I on? Hope so. That's right, inmates. We're talking about The Furies. This is a brand new movie, pretty much right here. It's from 2019. It's Australian, by the way. What's going on with Australia all of a sudden? They're turning out some kick-ass horror movies. You guys seen The Hounds of Love? That's a great one. Of course, you got your Wolf Creek and the TV show based thereof. What else? There's some great Australian horror movies. Oh, what was that one we did where the world's ending? These Final Hours. Check that shit out. That's more of like a weird pedophile drama. No, it's not. It's not really. I don't know why I even said that, but there's a pedophilic, connotations there, and that's pretty gnarly. It's about a movie. It's a movie where the world's going to end in a couple hours, so people in Australia have like 12 hours before their shit blows up. So anyway, enough about that. The Furies, written and directed by Tony Diacchino, got 5.2 stars on IMDb. I feel like it's missing some stars. And the reason it probably got docked a few off the bat is just because it's a horror movie. Horror movies never get that many stars just because they're horror movies. I don't think that's fair. You know what? We as horror fans need to start logging on to IMDb and kicking these ratings up a little bit because I feel like horror movies by and large get shit on, and that's not cool, man. It's not. Fuck that. Anyway, it stars Arlie Dodds, Linda No, and Taylor Ferguson. All Australian actors, by the way. So This one is it's pretty wacky. It's got like a Running Man kind of a vibe to it, or a Surviving the Game, or that one with Steve Austin. What was that? The Condemned kind of a deal going on. So we start off with two young ladies in Australia, I assume, and one of them is tagging a wall, and what she writes on the wall is "quote unquote" fuck patriarchy. There's an original thought. Um, why not just say I'm angry at my dad? It's fine. I get what you're doing here. You're laying it on a little thick though. So we have these two young ladies. We have Maddie, who is the tagger, and the other young lady, Kayla, who is just along for the ride, I guess. And because Maddie has chosen to tag this particular wall, she now, of course, wants Kayla to participate. Kayla's not interested. She's like, "Oh, I'm just a lookout." So they get a little argument going on there about how, "Oh, I've been watching out for you since you were in the fourth grade." This is the kind of writing that we've come to expect from horror movies, where we get a lot of unnecessary exploratory dialogue that normally doesn't take place in everyday conversations. How many times have you had to identify somebody to themselves? You know, it just doesn't happen. You see your mom and you're like, "Hey, you're my mother. You raised me since I was a baby, and now I'm mad at you." Nobody ever talks like that, really. And but I get it because we're like in the scope of a very short amount of allotted time. We have to squeeze all this stuff in, and we don't really have time to get into these characters very much. So thus we have this weird. I felt like there was some sexual tension in between these two. Odd Mother's in the house. What's up, Odd Mother? Or Odd Mother. I'm just going to go with Odd Mother from now. So it felt like there was some sexual tension in between these two, Maddie and Kayla. They end up getting themselves into a little bit of an argument there in the tunnel, the weird tagging tunnel. Eventually, Maddie's like, "You know what? I'm done taking care of you, so go fuck yourself." And then she goes walking out of the tunnel. It's like late at night now. So Kayla's like, "Oh God, damn it! All right, Maddie, come on back here." So she goes out there, and just in time to see Maddie get abducted by two dudes, which is pretty scary. Maddie gets like you just see her like get put into a hasty headlock and then dragged off somewhere. And then Kayla, who is like, "Oh God, what the fuck is happening?" She immediately gets hit in the head and knocked unconscious. Troy's in the house. What's up, Troy? Paranormal ambassador of the padded room, right there. So that's pretty creepy. But now we're going to wake up. From there, we're going to get our opening sequence, which is people basically performing like impromptu surgery on these two young ladies and doing a lot of stuff with their heads, which is fun and it's unwelcomed. I mean, they didn't ask for that. Then they wake up. Well, we're going to stick with Kayla here for a while. Kayla is by and far. I am Troy. I am flying solo again. I'm sorry. Um, Kayla's the more attractive of the two. She wakes up in a coffin out in the woods, presumably in Australia somewhere. Now, I've been to Australia and I've been to less populated areas of Australia, and they are fucking creepy, man. I'll tell you that right now. It's like watching. It's like I mean, I'm not even talking about like hillbillies and stuff. I'm just talking about like the trees and the wildlife and stuff like it lends itself quite easily to the horror genre because you don't know what the fuck's going on out there. Regardless, she wakes up out there in a coffin, uh, gets woken up by like this weird alarm clock inside her coffin, pops out. She's in the woods, starts looking around, and we see stenciled on the side of her coffin, Beauty 6. That's the word and the number. Yes, he is. I'm bed sick. So she says, Troy. Monica says she's sick again. However, you'll also notice Buddy is also not here, which thus leads me to believe that they are quite possibly having some kind of a weird romantic rendezvous, and I wasn't invited. So, whatever, Buddy and Monica. I hope you are in a hot tub somewhere giving each other VDs. I'm just kidding. I'm not really a prick. What's up, Connor? It's good to see you again. We're talking about the Furies. So she wakes up in this coffin, says Beauty 6 on it. Now she gets out of the coffin, starts staggering around, and she's like, "Oh God, where's Maddie? Maddie got taken too. She's got to be around here somewhere." So she's looking around. Now, eventually she gets kind of picked up by these two other young ladies. Name of Sheena and Alex. And I don't know if you guys have seen this one or not, but I'm getting like a very heavy kind of a. I feel like these ladies could end up having sex with each other at any point, which I'm a big fan of. But they're kind of butch, these two, and they stumble upon her and they're like, "Hey, what's going on? We just woke up in coffins. We don't know what's happening." She's like, "Fucking A, me too. What the hell?" So they're like, "You got a phone on you? Let's call somebody for help." So she's like feeling around. Nope, got no phone. Go back to the coffin to see if it's in there. Her coffin. Get back there. Of course, it's empty. And this is where we find out that Kayla is actually an epileptic because she goes into an epileptic seizure, which basically causes her to just kind of stare off for 30, 45 seconds at a time. I don't know about epilepsy, but I don't know. I mean, that doesn't seem that bad. I do that. I don't have epilepsy, but I do that all the time just because I'm sick of listening to the people that are talking to me. So I'll just kind of, and eventually they'll go away. So maybe I do have epilepsy. Regardless, that's what happens when she comes to. Alex is still there, but Sheena has taken off. So she's like, "Oh God, how long was I out?" She's like, "Oh, a minute or two." She's like, "Where's Sheena?" She went to go get help. She went that way. So she's like, "Okay, let's go that way and see if we can catch up with her." So they start going that way after Sheena, Alex, and Kayla. Um, we get a couple minutes go by. They're just walking through the woods. We get more exploratory dialogue about how Kayla vaguely remembers some kind of a surgical procedure being done to her after her abduction. Alex doesn't remember shit. But at some point, they stumble upon a dude running around the woods with a mask on, and he's carrying an axe and he's got bloodstains and shit. So they're like, fucking stay away from that guy. They go taking off running. Now, they run, they hide. The dude doesn't see him, so we're doing pretty good. But as they're hiding, Kayla goes into another epileptic fit. And this time, we're going to see what she sees in the throes of this epileptic seizure. Now, she gets kind of, we're going to cut to her kind of point of view, and she gets like all matrixy, like pixelated all of a sudden. And then she's basically seeing the dude, like from his point of view, the guy with the axe creeping up on her. So it's like she just kind of like she's playing a first person shooter all of a sudden, except now she's playing as that dude. And that's kind of creepy because she's like, oh, fuck, he's right over there and he's looking at me. All right, that's interesting. So, but unfortunately, she has to go into this epileptic seizure state to see that. And once she does, Alex is like, oh, fuck me. I can't carry her. And this guy, the Axeman over here, is about to slice me in two. So I'm going to go ahead and get the fuck out of here. So she goes hauling ass, and the Axeman sees her. So he starts running after her. This part is gnarly and at the same time a little silly. So we get a very cool cat and mouse thing between Alex and the Axeman. Axeman catches her, of course, pins her up against a tree, and then takes his full-on double-bit axe, holds her against the tree, and very slowly cuts her face off, like lengthwise, like sideways, so that like from here and then out this side. But it takes him like, I don't know, felt like about 10 minutes actually to do that. So I don't think that that's how that works. That has to be a very, very sharp axe to pull something like that off. Regardless, Alex gets defaced. She's now out of the picture. And Kayla saw this whole shit from the perspective of the Axeman, which is kind of cool. Let's talk about this Axeman for a minute. Big guy appears to be wearing a prison jumpsuit. Wearing a mask is pretty fucking gnarly. It's for lack of a better description, it's like somebody wrapped like a garbage bag around his head and then just burned random holes for eyes and nose and mouth. So it's the guy is pretty scary. So Kayla's like, well, I'm not going that way, and I saw what he did to her, so fuck that shit. She goes hauling ass. She's like, I'm out of here, dude. No, 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 not doing it. Not doing that shit. Axeman eventually gets onto her trail, starts following her. So, but she can kind of see what he's seeing. So she's like, well, he's back there. I'm going to keep hauling ass this way. Comes to a clearing in the woods. And by clearing, I mean there's no more. It's not like a clearing. It's like the edge of the woods, I should say. So she's like, okay, I made it out. Perfect. But then she's looking out, and it's just like a vast expanse of nothing past these woods. So she's like, well, I'm out here in the open, fucking, I'm just gonna haul ass and hope for the best. So she just goes hauling ass across this like desert plain plateau kind of a thing. Gets going pretty good, moving at a pretty good clip. She sees like these weird. They look like the speakers that you'd find at a drive-in movie theater, just kind of sticking out randomly. So she's like, "Well, I don't know what that is. I don't really have time." So she's hauling ass. When she gets too close to these things, like her ears start ringing real bad, and they start flashing red lights. So it's like she's trapped, and these fucking things are like the barrier, is what we're saying. And she can't go past them, or she gets this crazy headache. She's like, oh, fuck, fuck, fuck. Turns around and she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. She sees another young lady running in the same direction, young lady with a dress on. Just behind her, though, is the Axeman. And she's like, oh, fuck. So she hides behind this weird wheelbarrow carriage type of an operation, like, oh, I'm going to hide here. And then she sees the Axeman throw his axe at the other chick, catches her right in the back. And she's like, "Oh fuck, this broad's gonna get it." But then the Axeman like goes over to her, and then he turns around and sees Kayla hiding, and he just gives her one of these. Hey, how's it going? Hey, and then she's like, "Oh," wave back at him, and then he's like about to kill the other chick, but then another dude comes running out of the woods, and this guy looks like a fucking psychopath, even more than the Axeman, because this dude's got like a sickle on him and he's wearing some other guy's face. He's wearing like some other guy's body, for lack of a better understanding. Well, Bill's in the house. What's up, Bill? Talking about the Furies. Here comes this other fucking psycho coming out of the woods with a sickle, and he's doing like gimp noises, like the Axeman's like, what is this fucking guy? So, but like the gimp, I shouldn't call him a gimp. The guy wearing everybody else's skin is hauling ass towards Kayla. The Axeman is about to kill this other broad, and he's like, "What the fuck?" So he goes and like jumps in front of the sickle guy, and then they start fighting. They're fighting each other, which is like crazy two slashers going at it in the middle of a fucking desert. It's gnarly. Big fist fight. While that's going on, Kayla's like, "I gotta get the fuck out of here." Goes and grabs the other chick that the Axeman was about to kill, carries her back into the woods. So that's pretty cool. She just saved that chick. We get a little dialogue between those two. The other lady introduces herself as Sally, and she's like, "I'm a good person. I don't do anything to deserve this." And Kayla's like, "Yeah, me neither. I was just hanging around a tunnel, and then out of nowhere." And she's like, "Yeah, I was at my house, and fucking here I am now, being chased around the woods by a couple of fucking psychos." So she can't walk though. She took that axe square in the back. You know what I'm saying? Like right in the fucking spine. Tom's in the house. What's up, Tom? And I mean, I don't know what that does to a person, but it can't be good because it's right on the goddamn spine, man. So Kayla's like got to help her into the woods. So that's good. She gets her like out of the open there. Cut back to the fight between the Axeman and Sickle Boy. Sickle Boy has gotten the better of the Axeman. He's punched the shit out of him and knocked him down, probably knocked him out. Then he went and got a sickle and like just starts slashing open the Axeman's chest. And then he's like hobbling back after the two girls, which is bad news for them. But cut back to them inside the forest. Kayla finds like a hollowed out tree and hides Sally inside it. It's never a positive acupuncture type of axe to the spine. You're exactly right, Tom. That is not it's not a therapeutic kind of a thing. Whenever the axe hits the spine, I don't think that's what you want. I mean, I could be wrong. I know there's a lot of experimental medicines out there, but I say no if I can opt out of that particular procedure. Regardless, she manages to hide Sally in like a tree trunk and cover her up with a bunch of sticks and twigs and shit. And she's like, "Look, man, I can't carry you, but I'm gonna go see if I can find some help. And you just stay here, be quiet, don't try to live, try to keep breathing. That's what we want to do." So away goes Kayla off into the fucking woods again. Sally's still there. Now we don't know at this point whether or not the Axeman is still a part of this situation, but we're gonna get back to him in a minute. So Kayla's hauling ass through the woods. She's like, "Fuck me, I gotta find some help." I got to find maybe Sheena is still out here. Maddie, my best friend, is probably still out here somewhere too. I got to track her down. All right, I'm gonna get cracking here. So she comes to what is kind of alluded to being an abandoned mining town somewhere in Australia. Oddly enough, I believe the map said it was called Eureka, which we have a Eureka here in Nevada also, and it's not quite abandoned, but it probably should be at this point. So she gets to this abandoned mining town, and she's like, "Okay, what the fuck? This is like a historic site. It looks like an old west. It's like an old west ghost town, is what it is. But it's like situated in these hills and the woods, and a lot of cover there. It's great." She gets in there. She's like, "I'm gonna find a fucking phone or somebody that can help me. Maybe a goddamn I don't know, a laptop, computer. Somebody left their Facebook on. I'll get the fuck out of here." First, she goes into one of the structures, which struck me as a bit of like a blacksmith type of a deal. Goes in there, and there happens to be Sheena, who hauled ass at the beginning of the movie. She's like, "Hey, man," like, "Hey, you just left Alex, and Alex stayed with you." Sheena's a bit of a bitch. To be honest with you, she's probably the hottest young lady in this movie, but she's a bit of a bitch. She gets in there, and there's another young lady with Sheena, a young Asian lady named Rose. So she talks to Sheena, she talks to Rose for a few minutes. They go outside, and then Kayla is just looking out the window like, "Oh, fuck." Now, again, this is a blacksmith kind of an operation. So there's like a lot of hammers and tools. She gets herself a big knife, and then she's just looking out the window, and all of a sudden somebody touches her. So she just whips around real fast and catches a third young lady right in the neck. Young lady by the name of Evelyn. And Evelyn's, of course, going to bleed out immediately, blood all over the place. Then, of course, comes back in Sheena and Rose, and they're like, "Dude, you just killed fucking Evelyn." And it's like, "Hey, man, it was an accident. I was just looking out the window." "Yeah, I did. I did. I'm sorry." And but she snuck up on me, and the machete to the neck. I just turned around too fast. Sorry about that, guys. Which you guys know her or good friends? I don't know. Um, Come to find out that Evelyn was in the same situation they are. They're all, stuck on this weird wooded area with all these killers, and we don't know what the fuck is going on. So that's pretty creepy. Right about now, we're going to cut back to Sally, who's back at the weird tree trunk situation, the hidey hole in the tree trunk. Sally's there, and unfortunately, Scythe Boy has found her. So he, gets her out of the trees and he drags her outside, and she's screaming and kicking and all that shit. Back at the abandoned mining town, Kayla steps out for a second because it's getting a little hostile inside the blacksmith thing, and she immediately gets assaulted by a guy wearing a pig mask. What is it with slashers and pig masks? I feel like there are definitely more intimidating animals that you could go with in the animal mask spectrum. Is the pig supposed to be conducive of something? I have no idea, but he's got a pig mask on, and he's got a machete, and he's swiping it at her, and she's about to get killed, and it's getting very tense. Cut back to Sally in the tree trunk. Scythe Boy has dragged her out of the tree trunk, done like a reverse chicken wing with her on the takes puts like a tree trunk and then bends her arms behind the tree trunk and then just basically pulls her arms off and kills Sally. Sally's now out of the equation. Now, as soon as he does that and Sally actually expires, cut back to Kayla, who's fighting for her life against Pig Boy. Pig Boy's head just explodes. Boom! Blood and guts and skull tissue all over the fucking wow. And Kayla's like, "What the shit was that? That guy was about to stab me with a machete, and then his head just exploded." She's looking around thinking maybe a sniper or something, but then she starts looking at the dead body. He's got a goddamn explosive collar on him. Or he did. Not explosive anymore, I suppose. Hey, it's the late horror shows in the house. What's going on, guys? Talking about the Furies. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. Spot on. If you haven't, it's on Shutter streaming. If you want to check it out. Anyway, blows Pig Boy's head right off. So now she's like, "What the fuck? This guy's running around killing people, and he's got an explosive collar on his neck the whole time." So thus, we're kind of leaning towards he's not really wanting to kill anybody, but maybe he's being forced to also, which probably means the rest of these lunatics are forced to as well. So that's kind of fucked up. Regardless, there are a bunch of sickos running around with masks on, killing people, trying to save their own heads in the process. Fair enough. Fair enough. So she goes back to the blacksmith where Rose and Sheena are there, and they've kind of gathered themselves a little bit. She reports back what she found. Hey, this guy was coming at me, and then his head just exploded. And they're like, oh, yeah, that kind of happened because a little while ago, somebody was coming at me, and his head exploded. So they're like, they kind of do some very quick math, very quick thinking, and they come to realize, and I'm going to blaze right through this because there's a whole conversation behind this. But basically, what we have here is 8 young ladies in the woods, 8 slashers also in the woods. Okay, for the purpose, for the mechanic of this weird interactive experience, they're beauties and they're beasts. Slashers being the beasts, young ladies being the beauties. So Kayla came out of her coffin. Her coffin said Beauty 6, which means there's also a Beast 6. So Beast 6 has to protect Kayla, his beauty, and hopefully eliminate the rest of the beauties, thus killing the other slashers in the process. Pretty dope, right? That sounds like a kick-ass video game. Now, this poses some interesting problems and conundrums because, as Sheena is about to point out, if the beast's beauty gets eliminated, the beast's head immediately explodes, and thus they're both eliminated. So, this makes things pretty intense and interesting because in this blacksmith office, shack, whatever you want to call it, we have Rose, Sheena, and Kayla. And we still have Maddie somewhere out in the field unaccounted for. In the throes of this, just doing some quick math, should Sheena or Rose decide to kill Kayla, they would also be eliminating her beast. Thus, there's one less killer out there looking for them. That makes things very intense very quickly because they're like, oh shit, we could work together, or I could kill both you bitches and have not only you two not to worry about anymore, but also the fucking slashers that are attached to you two bitches. And, I find my guy and me and my slasher, whoever he might be, we might just walk right out of here. I mean, it's just good math. I hate to be a dick about this, but it's true. So that being understood, they're like, hey, dude, we should probably work together. And Sheena's like, ha, 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 ha. I don't think we need to work together. I think I need to find a way to kill you two. And they're like, okay, dude, you're freaking us right out. So Kayla and Rose are like, okay, we're out of here, man. You're freaking us out. So Kayla and Rose go to leave. Scythe Boy walks into the camp and they spot him and he spots them. So he's walking around and we get a little chase between the three of them. Scythe Boy's running around. While that's going on, a third slasher rolls into town. This guy's got himself he's got like a wood mask on. It's pretty creepy. It's a creepy looking mask and it's like weathered wood. And he's just kind of leering around. Hey, fucking shit, where is everybody? What's going on here? Now, here's the thing. I don't think that the slashers know who their beauties are. Well, I don't think they've been given any inkling. But somehow, I don't know. But it doesn't work in the adverse. So if you're a beauty and your slasher dies, you don't have an explosive collar on. Only the slashers do. So that's why Kayla's still alive, despite the Axeman dying, assuming he was her slasher, which we don't know, and assuming he's dead, which we also don't know. Think about that shit. In the meantime, Scythe Boy, with everybody else's skin on him, rolls up, spots them, and goes taking off after him. They hide in a different building. They are stuck in there, and Scythe Boy is running around, so they decide they have to tunnel their way out of the building to get. I don't know. I don't know why. Now that I think about it, I don't know why they did that. That seems pretty silly. They could just go out a window or a door. Probably make a little more noise that way, but fucking tunnel your way out. That's going to help. Anyway, tunnels their way out. Kayla gets out. Rose is on her way out. Let's talk about Rose for a second before we move on. I don't know what's up with this chick. Um, she's got like an Asian schoolgirl thing going on. She appears to be in her late 20s, but she acts like an Asian schoolgirl as well. A lot of ooh, ooh, a lot of that stuff. A lot of you're supposed to be my friends. You're supposed to protect me, and things like that. And she's very dependent and a little bit on the jealous side also. So Kayla gets out, tunnels her way out of the building. Rose is right behind her, but then Scythe Boy goes into the building and grabs Rose by the feet. So now we have like a weird tug of war with Scythe Boy and Kayla over Rose. Eventually, Kayla has to let Rose go because she's like getting her stomach slit open on the corrugated steel of the shack. So she lets her go, and she's like, "Hey, don't let him see your face, because if he finds out that you're not his, yeah, that's exactly right, Tom. Rose is all Sailor Moon with everybody. Yes, and that can get very pervy, which I'm not going to. I'm not. We're not even going to do that. We're talking about slashers and stuff. Anyway, she's like, "Hey, don't let him see your face, dude. Go on in there, but try to cover your face because if he realizes that you're not his beauty, then he's going to kill you, and thus, well, you don't want that, do you?" So she's like, "Okay." Goes back through, and then like they're like slapping at each other, trying to get to Rose's face, and she's trying to keep him off him. Uh, Kayla's like, "Sorry, babe, not much I can do about this, so I'm gonna go ahead and take right off." So she just goes running out into the woods, gets like a quarter mile down the road while Rose is still slap fighting with Slasher Boy, and then has one of her weird spells, her epileptic seizures. This time, she fades off into the distance again, but this time she gets all matrixy and she sees somebody else through somebody else's eyes, I should say. And this time, our first-person shooter, for lack of a better term, like pulls like he's got like a weird shanty like thing set up, and he opens a door. And as soon as he opens the door, he's looking right at Maddie, who's Kayla's best friend. So she's like, "Oh my God, Maddie's alive." And then he closes. So basically, what we're saying here is that every time Kayla goes into one of her epileptic seizures, she gets to see through the perspective of one of the slashers. Hey, Crackhouse Matt's in the house. We don't know which one she's looking through, though, or where this dude is or what's going on. But apparently, he has captured himself Maddie, who's probably his beauty that he's got to protect. And thus, she gets to a little sneak peek through his peepers for a minute, which is kind of neat. But she knows Maddie's alive, and that's pretty cool. And now she's like, she snaps out of it. She's like, oh, turns around, and Sheena's right there with the machete. Now, Sheena is also trying to kill Kayla because she doesn't want to kill Kayla. Maybe she does, I don't know. But really, she wants to eliminate Kayla's slasher, which makes sense. Although, theoretically, if the Axeman was Kayla's slasher, he's already dead. There's no need to kill Kayla, right? I don't know that Sheena knows that. That might be a plot hole. Regardless, so we have like a tense standoff between these two. Kayla's got like a hunting knife, and Sheena's got like a machete. And Sheena's like, "Hey man, I gotta kill you because I don't want to, but I gotta kill you because your slasher is still running around. I don't want that guy coming at me." And Kayla's like, "Hey, how about instead we just work together and we find a way out of here and nobody has to get killed?" And Sheena's like, "I don't know about that." And then Sheena's head just splits open like I don't know, like a fucking fly trap or something. And behind her is the Axeman, who is still alive. And that's pretty cool. He's got his whole chest and stomach all ripped open, and there's intestines dangling and all that shit. It's nasty, but he's still alive, and he just killed Sheena. So, in case we hadn't already figured it out and we hadn't done the math, now we know for sure that the Axeman is Kayla's beast to her beauty. So he's got to protect her. And she knows that now because she remembers him waving at her and all that stuff. So she's got like the hunting knife, and he's got the axe, and they're like, he's like struggling to breathe. He's in bad shape, the Axeman. He's still one of the scarier slashers. But he's like, oh God. I know while that's going on, we're going to cut back to the mining town. We have Sickle Boy and Rose like pawing at each other, and then here comes the guy with the weird distressed wood mask that's kind of creepy. He comes in with a hunting knife. Him and Sickle Boy are going at it now, and they're fighting. But as soon as the Axeman splits Sheena's head, the wood mask guy's head explodes. Boom! But he has already wounded Sickle Boy to a point of he's dead. He's bleeding out. So that's pretty cool, right? We're doing pretty good. So at this point, as far as killers versus or beauties versus beasts, I should say, goes, we have on the beauty side, we have Rose, we have Kayla, and we have Maddie out there somewhere. On the beast side, really all we have left is whoever that mysterious guy was that's guarding Maddie. So Rose and Kayla reunited. It feels so good because it feels so good. Quote, horrible song. And they are now going to go find Maddie. And they're like, hey, high five. We got rid of some of these killers. Let's go find Maddie and maybe we can find a way out of here. That sounds great. That sounds like a good way to go. So they go taking off. Kayla has an idea of where she is because she saw through the other killer's perspective. So they go running around. They find her in like a weird canyon, and she's been covered up this whole time by her killer. Now, they get to Maddie, and they pop her out, and they're like, hey, Maddie. And Kayla's like, oh, Maddie, I missed you so much. And they hug and kiss, and everything's great. Rose, at this point, gets very jealous. She's like, are we going to get out of here or not? I thought you were my friend. And she's like, they just kind of ignore her because they're too, happy with each other. And then she's like, hey, Kayla, why don't you tell Maddie about all the girls you had to kill? And she's like, what? How could you? What? You killed girls? And she's like, yeah, by the way, while you've been taking a nap in your fucking weird shanty sleeping area, the rest of us have been out there fighting for our fucking lives with all these slashers and shit. Rose is getting really passive aggressive with Maddie. I feel like there was some sexual tension between her and Kayla, maybe, or there was more. I don't know. It's like a weird love triangle thing. It could have very easily gone into porno land. Just saying. I'm not saying I wanted it to. I wouldn't be mad if it did, though. Anyway, once as soon as they're having like this whole three-way argument over who killed who and who's going to protect who, and you're my friend and you can't be her friend, all this weird shit. While that's going on, Maddie's killer comes walking down the hill. He's got an owl mask on. Owl mask, I feel like, makes a lot more sense than the pig mask in the pantheon of animal masks that a slasher could wear. I'm minorly more afraid of an owl than I am a pig. Pigs can be gnarly, especially in the wild. But I don't know, just on face value, I feel like an owl could like peck and scratch one's eyes out. James in the house. What's up, Jim? Talking about the Furies from 2019, streaming on Shudder right now. Just coming in here at the end. So here comes this dude. He's got a pitchfork. Who wouldn't rather have an owl mask? I agree. I mean, if I feel like if I'm going to wear a pig mask, then there's going to be some kind of a fat connotation behind it. And I could lose a few pounds, and I don't need to be any more self-conscious than I already am. I don't need to be assigned a pig mask to tell me I should probably cut back on the Arby's and the KFC. Regardless, now I'm going to cry. God damn it. All right, moving right along. Here comes this guy in a pig mask. He's got a pitchfork on him. Now, Kayla sees this, immediately goes into one of her epileptic seizures. Whoa. And when she does, she's watching through the perspective of the guy in the mask. So she's basically walking down the hill with the pitchfork. So we have Maddie, who up to this point in the movie has been pretty much oblivious to everything that's been happening. And she's like, oh, who's this guy? He's the one that put me in the weird sleep chamber metal cocoon thing. And Rose is right behind her, who is now like battle hardened and tested and knows how this game is played. So Rose quickly produces a knife from behind her back and slits Maddie's throat on the spot, lets her bleed out. The guy in the owl mask, the slasher dude, is like, what? Wait. And then, boom, his head explodes. A few minutes later, Kayla comes out of her epileptic funk, and then she's like, what? Hey, what? Whoa, what's going on here? Sees dead Maddie, And she's like, "Oh my God, you killed Maddie! Oh, you killed Maddie!" And she's like, "Hey." Rose is like, "Hey, dude, I was protecting you. It was either kill her or kill the guy with the pitchfork. Probably going to kill all three of us." Typical Pearl Harbor. What? Typical Pearl Harbor move by Rose. I mean, we don't need to bring her ethnicity into this, Tom, but I feel like she made the logical move there because number one, she wasn't a fan of Maddie, and to be honest with you, neither was I. Uh, Maddie was a bit of a bitch in the beginning during the little tagging episode, and she basically got a free pass during the whole shit. She didn't even have to get out of bed, really. She just laid in that weird trash heap there and let her slasher do all the work. These other chicks are out here fighting for their lives and getting their arms pulled off and shit like that. Just saying. I'm not on the pantheon of chicks that are in this movie. I would put Maddie at the very bottom. Rose, I don't know that Rose did the right thing, but I feel like she did the logical thing. And let's be honest, she's trying to protect Kayla probably because she wants to have sex with Kayla, which I'm not opposed to. Regardless, Kayla's all butthurt all of a sudden. "No, you killed Maddie. She was my best friend." And she's like, "Hey, hey, 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 hey. I killed her to protect you. I'm your best friend, okay? I just killed somebody to protect your fucking ass while you were having your epileptic seizure. So maybe you need to rethink who was your best friend and who wasn't." And then to make a long story short, Rose kind of goes a little on the psycho side right here. She's like, "Ah!" And then goes just hauling ass into the woods, or at least back to the mining town. Cut back to Kayla. She's like, "My best friend. Oh, everybody is dead and all this shit." She just goes walking. She just like goes into like a catatonic state. Just goes walking. Goes back to that open expanse area where all the drive-in speakers were, and she's like, I'm just gonna leave." As she gets closer to them, they turn from red to green, and she just goes walking off into the distance. But before she does, she's like, "Oh, wait a minute." And this is something I kind of glazed over. What we found out back at the blacksmith shop is that during that weird surgical sequence right after the abduction, these girls had bizarro neurotransplants put into their eyeballs. Only one eye, mind you. And she discovered that by cutting the eye out of the chick that she accidentally killed with the machete and taking a look at it, seeing all the circuitry and shit. So she's like, "You know what? Fuck that." She cuts her own eyeball out, leaves it on the ground, and then goes walking off into the distance. Uh, that's more or less the end of your movie. We do get a little bit of a prologue when after Kayla goes off into the distance, um, we see another dude, like a very rich looking guy, who's watching the whole thing on like some VR goggles. And he's all pissed off because he's watching Alex get defaced at the beginning. He's like, "This feed is shit." That's like all slow and laggy. He's like, "This is bullshit." He takes the VR goggles off and he calls somebody to complain to the manager. When all of a sudden, Kayla shows up in his house and tases him and starts interrogating him. "Well, I want to know who set this up and who profits from this, and I want to know who owns this operation." And Kayla is now having like delusions of Maddie showing up and like egging her on to do all this shit. Make a long story short, she cuts that dude's eye out, but then we cut back to the main play area where Rose is still there with a machete. I assume a couple of weeks have gone by, and she's still just kind of walking around all psycho like. And there's like a guy in a control room, and he's like, "Ready for the next match. Prepare last match's winner. Here we go." And that's pretty much the end of your movie. So that's what it amounts to, is really like a big game show kind of a thing where hot chicks get killed, and so do these nutsack slasher dudes. Pretty good show, man. I love the concept of it. So the real question here is, imagine if all of a sudden Michael Myers had to protect Laurie Strode from Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. And that's your base concept of the movie. And it's somehow being televised or recorded via weird ocular implants. And, people are paying. I mean, I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I would pay if this were like some kind of a WWE thing where nobody really got hurt. I would pay to watch it. I would like to know more about the slashers. I'd like to know their backstories and what their fucking problems are. The masks, were the masks assigned to them? They had some cool masks. Um, did they get to depict their weapons? They all appeared to be wearing prison jumpsuits at the beginning. So were they? I assume they were prisoners, right? Or at least, at the very least, like psychological inmates. I don't know, but I would like to know more about this game of death. And I thought it was a good show. I really liked it. Lots of blood, no boobs, unfortunately. But the concept of the slasher having to protect one of one of his own personal final girl in a way is very cool to me. They repurposed wood mask shows care about the environment. It's true. It's true, Tom. Except the guy with the pig head, that looked like an authentic pig head. I don't know. Did you notice the music was almost the same as Crawl's? I did not notice that, Monica, but I'm sure you're right. I think Crawl wasn't Australian, but I think, dude, to be honest with you, Australia's kicking out some pretty badass horror movies these days, right? This is a good one. I already ran you down the list of all the cool Australian horror movies. James Wan, Australian. Lee Winnell, Australian. Um, Dude, well, let's just go to Australia. We got people over there. They'll take care of us. Right? What did you guys think of no? No, you did not. All right, well, whatever. What did you guys think of The Furies, if you guys have seen it? It's a great show. I recommend you check it out. It's streaming right now on Shudder. If you don't have Shudder, there are various swashbuckling avenues you can approach to get access to this movie. I think it's probably on Amazon Prime if you don't mind renting it. Dude, rent it. I'm telling you, $3. Who gives a shit? Rent it, watch it. You'll thank me for it later, or I'm going to buy the Blu-ray. Is what I'm going to do because I really dig this one. Yeah, I would love to see what the special features are. Maybe there's some bonus deleted scenes that gets into the backstories of these guys, which is something I want to know about. So yeah, I say check this one out. It's from Miss Monica here in Miss Monica month in the padded room. Monica, if you're still with me, let me know what we're doing for next week because I think she was talking about Poultrygeist, but I don't want to do Poultrygeist. I want to do like a real horror movie. I don't want to do anything that involves a finger in the butt, Monica. Do you have a movie without a finger in the butt, or is that like a prerequisite? I don't know. Also, no exploding diarrhea. I mean, it's your month, man. You tell me what we want to do, and I'll make it happen. But if you want to go easy on the D-man, maybe think about something other than Poultrygeist. Either way, I think that's about all we have to say about Furies. Definitely worth checking out on Shutter right now, and do that. We're gonna take us a little break, and we'll come back with some other stuff. Chillerama, Monica, is that what you want to do? I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's got a lot of that's an anthology, and it's pretty silly, to be honest with you. I don't know if you guys have seen Chillerama, but yeah, we can do Chillerama next week. I guess join us for Chillerama. You're going to hear me do a lot of complaining next week, so be ready for that. I'll probably be another solo show because, let's face it, who the fuck wants to watch Chillerama? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you guys very much for joining me. Any of you that are still with me, paddedroompodcast.com is where you find anything you need to know about us. The other two that are normally here that are not. The rest of the shows in the Padded Room Network, Psycho Bunny Death Cult, the YouTube channel. If you want to watch this stream again, just go over to YouTube. It's going to be streaming there as soon as I kill the live feed. You can watch it in its entirety and make fun of me and my receding hairline. I'm thinking about shaving my head, man. I think this is getting a little much. Either that or I got to start renting ad space on my forehead. Look at all this, man. Bad. All right, enough about me and my receding hairline. Thank you guys so much again. We'll see you next week with Chillerama.